Hey everyone, how you doing? This broadcast is in response to a video um, that was posted by Kevin, aka Techno Man, and his sidekick Power Thirsty. Um, the video was called "A Grown Man and His Wife Raging on dcuo." um, well, of course, I'm the guy they were talking about. Though they're totally full of crap. Um, we were in Shattered Gotham um, a day or two ago, along with Power Thirsty and Techno Man, who of course we didn't know until we got in there. Power Thirsty was the tank and Techno Man was the healer. Now, Power Thirsty was in there in bat form, which is okay, and he was using Tumble Master in his feet. Now, if you know anything about bat form and Tumble Master, when you use Tumble Master in bat form, you're able to gain double the distance. So when you're in Shatter, you're able to clear the boulders better. You're able to get past it 3 times faster than anybody going across normally. Like running and jumping across. When you use Tumble Master in regular form, um, you end up covering more distance than somebody running regular as well, but not as much as you do in bat form. When you do it in bat form, you cover crazy distance, right? I could give you an example if you watch me here. This is this is Tumble Master in regular form. So the distance that you cover is about there. So if I start back at the same point here, and I do it in bat form, you see that in bat form you go a lot further. So when you do your Tumble Master in bat form, like I said, you cover a hell of a lot more distance. So while we were in the mission, this is what Power Thirsty was doing. So he was getting to the heads way quicker than anybody else, because of how he was doing it. You had like a 253 troll in there, a 260 plus. The rest were like twos, I think 276 to 280 was the rest of us. Um, so a couple of guys, they really needed this, the gear, the drops, and that were in there. And Power Thirsty kept rushing through everything and speeding to the boss. And as the second he would get to the boss, he would start the fight. And he didn't give time for other people to get there. Uh, um, and I got the impression he went into bat form like this intentionally just to do that, based on the fact that he didn't wait. It didn't even look like he was collecting his loot after the fights. As soon as the loot come up and you look, he was gone. He was already like part of the way gone by the time anybody would collect their loot, and he would make it to the boss so quick, which caused other people, I guess, to rush a lot quicker, including the 253 troll and my wife, so on and so forth. So where the main incident happened, well, actually, to be honest with you, when we got to the first boss, we ended up wiping because he rushed to the first boss, didn't wait for the troll or anyone to get there, and we ended up wiping because when I looked at the healer's power bar was empty, and then all of a sudden everybody dropped uh, because the healer didn't have the power and we didn't have the heal. So then we had to start that fight again. Now, mind you, the troll wasn't in there. That's why we didn't have the power, because he got there so quick and started it. And the troll was a 253, so I guess he's new and wasn't so used to navigating the boulders, right? Now, that's okay. We go into the terror fight the second time. The troll's already there because he was waiting outside. So he was able to get into the second fight because he was able to make it there while we were fighting and wait the first time. So anyway, after that happened, as soon as we fought the boss the second time, defeated the boss, no forms, easiest to be because the troll was in there, everybody had power, it was smooth as could be. The tank didn't even look like he was collecting loot at all. All you could see was as soon as it was done, he started going real quick, doing his tumble master across everything as fast as he could go. And as soon as he would get to something, he'd start fighting. He would never wait for anybody and had to sit ahead. He dropped. The healer came in behind him just before his life ran out and was able to pick him up, which stopped him from wiping. We cleared out the ads, and he went right with his tumble master as quick as he could go again. With no pause to the boss, being Felix Foss. Now, when it comes to the Felix Foss fight, what happens is when you start that boss fight, the rocks, they drop, and you can't cross the rocks again. So what happened was he got to the boss fight so quick, and there were a few people left behind. right? Because he got to the, when you get to the boss fight, it goes into the split screen. And as soon as it came out of the split screen, he started without waiting. Now, while the split screen happened, when you're far away from the split screen, you don't end up in it, so you're able to keep jumping to get to the mission. But what had happened was a couple people fell during the split screen, right? And when the split screen stopped, he attacked everything, which caused the rocks to fall. So by the time they spawned back, the rocks weren't there, and they couldn't get across to get back to the boss, which ended up in turn costing them their loot. They had no way to get there, and there was no teleporter for them to get across, and it caused them to lose their loot. And so as soon as the fight was done with Felix Foss, I mentioned it to the tank, and their first response to it was tough. They said tough, which is kind of rude, right? And and I wanted to let them know that he was costing people their loot. But basically, what had happened as soon as the loot didn't happen, my wife typed into the thing, some of us didn't get no loot, and because they didn't get no loot, the troll ended up leaving the mission because he lost out on his loot, and he really needed it because he was a 253. So he needed the catalyst, he needed the stall drops, and he needed the marks, right? And the tank costed him the marks and everything. So I kind of got a little upset. I didn't rage or anything. I was in the text chat. So I got a little upset, and I sort of addressed the situation because the response was quite rude by responding by saying tough. And they followed up by calling me a crybaby and asked me if I needed a tissue and things like that. So the response wasn't very pleasant. So one of the guys, they sort of attacked like mob mentality is what it was. I was just addressing the tank, and then the healer chimed in, and one of the other guys chimed in, right? And it was sort of a ganging up kind of situation with the three of them into the text channel. And the one guy responded, well, it's just a darn game, blah 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 blah, and they were kind of calling me immature by calling me a complainer because I was picking up the little guys who wasn't getting their loot because these guys decided they want to rush the mission. And I said to them, it's an 8-man mission. It's not a solo mission. It's not a duel. It's not an alert. It's an 8-man mission. Play like an 8-man. If you want to play a solo mission, go to a damn solo mission and play it, right? Don't cost people their loot, and have a bit of patience. When you get to the boss, just have a little patience. Let people get there. We go in playing. There's no problems, right? So when they got rude and started saying some stuff to me, I said a couple things back to them. I started responding back, and I told them they were being assholes and inconsiderate, and I told them they were being disrespectful, and they decided to say that I was disrespectful because I was responding to the situation, right? And they called me disrespectful because I typed in and called them out on what was happening with the loot and the fact that people were losing out on it. So what I did was I said, screw this. After the mission was over, I went to the instance chat. And the second I went to speak, two of them being Power Thirsty and Techno Man, started going, nah, sort of making the noise to try to stop me from talking. So I got loud and told them why I was getting loud, and told them I wasn't going to stop being loud. And after I did that, the one guy speaks up, which I think was Techno, saying, let me speak, let me speak, let me talk. And no, I wasn't going to let him talk. I wasn't going to let him talk because they mobbed me. They used mob mentality in that chat text and had everything to say in that in the text. Unfortunately, they left it out of the video, and they also altered the video that they put up on YouTube. You'll see where they spliced it and didn't put everything I said. When my wife came in the room, she was explaining to them that at the Felix Foss fight, the reason they couldn't make it back, and the fact that you don't have 5 or 10 minutes to get back, and trying to explain how they felt, he turned it down. You'll see when I try to reiterate what my wife came in to explain, he turned me down because he didn't want his viewers to hear it. Right, and he cut out a couple parts because he didn't want their viewers to hear what I was saying because I was talking common sense. One part I was calling out what they were saying in the voice chat, but you don't see that in the video. Sorry, I was calling out what they were saying in the text chat, but you don't see it in the video, right? Which is quite unfortunate because they were being rude and inconsiderate of the fact that they were costing people loot, and they wouldn't slow down. I mentioned it to them after the Felix Foss fight, and he still sped to the final fight, so the troll left, right? You know what I mean? And that's frustrating. I mean, people got to leave, and he already had the first boss. Now that means the troll had to requeue, start the mission over, and try to be lucky enough to get into in a sufficient time, considering the fact that sometimes when you queue for these missions, you're waiting half an hour to an hour just to get into them. And you know, I mean, some people when they leave a mission, they wait before they re-queue because they end up back into the same mission, right? So then the troll had to go through all that inconvenience just because a couple people in the game, mainly really being power thirsty, wanted to rush so much and start the fights without waiting for anybody, right? You know, which I thought was kind of rude. So I called him out on it. And so what he did was he posted a video stating that me and my wife was raging. I wasn't raging. I told him in the video why I was raising my voice. It had nothing to do. They're trying to make it seem like that all of a sudden I was in the voice channel and started yelling and screaming at everybody. No, I started raising my voice because they were mob mentality. You had 2 versus 1 in the chat, but then you had 3 versus 1 in the text window. And so I wasn't going to let them do that. So I kept my voice high, right? Now, if you notice in the video, you know, where the guy is going, you have 5 to 10 minutes, you have 5 to 10 minutes, you have 5 to 10 minutes. He was going on like that, like a child, repeating, and they were making noises like la la la, but, you know, doing stuff like that, which you did see them do in the video. That wasn't the only time they did that. In other areas they did that instead, right? So that, you know, they're giving you a false video. They're not giving you the full facts. They're not letting you know everything that took place. All I was trying to do, if anybody has watched the video, you hear where I would say it's not about me. I don't care about me. I got my loot. I was uh, I mentioned the 253 and what they did and why I was upset about what they did. I was trying to pick up for the little guy, is more or less, and you know, because you get into a lot of these missions where people need feats. I'll give you an example, like Vengeance, you know, where the clowns are, and you got to get, you know, you got the outside and you got the inside. You have high-level guys speeding into that mission, speeding to the last boss, getting in. They're starting the fight where people can't get in, collecting loot. They lose it on loot, and they don't get the clowns for the feats that they were, you know, working on. Things like you have a lot of players in the, you know, in this game doing stuff like that, and they think it's okay, and then they call people crybabies when they want to call them out on it, right? To me, they were more or less trolling. You know, you go into a mission in bat form with Tumble Master in your legs, and nobody else is using it. Not everybody has the bat form. Not everybody uses Tumble Master based on, you know, their loadouts, what it is they're doing, and how they use their characters. So, you know, everybody's not going to be able to manage the mission that way. And he knew that he was getting there way before anybody else, and that he was starting it long before anybody got there, right? And he also knows, and you know, it ain't so bad in certain missions where people are able to get there quite easy. But when you're in Shattered and you've got to jump across those rocks and people are banging off each other, you know, people have sidekicks and pits out, and you're striking them and you fall down. You got to have a little patience in that mission. And he knew better, but they didn't care, and they showed it when they responded with the word tough. As soon as we mentioned that people were losing their loot and can you slow down, right? Their response was tough. So I mean, it was kind of rude, and I just want to mention it. And I have friends on DC that seen the video and started sending me messages and couldn't believe that somebody did that, right? And they understood why I was upset, right? So, you know, I just wanted to let people know that the full video isn't there, neither is the text, and, you know, basically, you don't really get to see what happened, right? Only you have their version, and you have a cut version, which please watch the video so you can see where they cut it. Yeah, my voice is loud, I'm talking loud, I'm raising my voice, but, you know, kind of world we live in, the situations we get into, sometimes you have to, right? It'd be nice if you could just talk to somebody sensible and have them understand, but some people, you know, they just want to troll, they don't care to listen, and they don't give a shit about what people get and don't get. They just want to rush, get through the mission, and as long as they get what they got, they don't give a shit, and that's what they portrayed to me, right? So I was just picking up with a little guy and trying to set them straight. And that's all that was. So thanks for listening. I hope people have a clearer picture of what took place and why I did and said what I said. And it's people like that that ruin this game, you know. People that don't have consideration inside the missions for other people that are playing, and don't want to, people that don't want to help other people that are lower in the mission, and understand that they don't have what we have, and we were all new in DLCs from time to time. And not everybody's going to be as good as you are, plain and simple. That's just the way it is. You need to have a little compassion for that. And it seems that these people don't. Their answer to that is tough. Who gives a shit? And then they want to troll and make it, twist the video around, and, not tell full truths. It's Quite disgusting, actually.